Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game between Infi and Lucifer, or Lukel. This game taking place here on Tyrannus Stand. Infi has spawned as the blue orc player on the top left-hand side of the map. Tyrannus Stand, a map that I haven't actually had an opportunity to cast on in quite a while, so I'm wondering if I'm going to see some different styles of play, some different strategies as the meta has shifted a little, or are the players just going to go back to what they used to play here on Tyrannus Stand? Lucifer or Lucal opening things up, pretty much a standard arm, Altar of Darkness, Crypt, and Ziggurat, nothing out of the ordinary. Off on the top left-hand side, Infi opening up with a pretty ordinary Altar of Storms, Burrow, Barracks. It looks like it will be Grunts, another Orc Burrow, and then perhaps go into a Voodoo Lounge, check to Tier 2. Not necessarily in that order, but just to get the game underway. Alright, Acolyte is spotted out here, taking a lot of damage already right at the start. Acolyte could end up getting, finished off by this wolf. One or two more shots should do it, and the Acolyte does end up falling. Meanwhile, Farseer not staying close to home to try and clear out these creep camps. Instead, going to go after this center of... Yes, going after this rogue wizard right there. That rogue wizard, these two green creep camps in the center do offer up some powerful items. Claws of attack +4, or as this, it says +5, but it's really +4, and perhaps going to make its way down as well. Meanwhile, Death Knight picks up a potion of invulnerability, already getting the tier 2, and picks up a cloak of shadows. Farseer, with that additional harassment damage, ready to lead the charge and charge on in. Down to the south here, perhaps going to go after this Kobold Tunneler. Some easy creeps as we're looking at the Death Knight now going after this Rogue Wizard as well. Alright, Farseer picks up a Ring of Protection +4. Not necessarily the best item, but some nice armor to just help keep that Farseer alive. Alright, Death Knight looking to engage. There goes another unit. Perhaps the Apprentice Wizards will get cleaned up. No, Death Knight of Lucal just wandering around here. What is the Farseer's long-term plan? Is he going to try and buy a Staff of Teleportation or Dust of Appearance? Looks like he wants to get something from the shop. There's that Staff of Teleportation just now going on sale. Nerubian Tower also trying to get upgraded as the Graveyard getting into some problems here. Farseer could summon up, perhaps rack up some damage onto these Acolytes. Acolyte down to dead here, and this is going to cause some problems as we see some Chain Lightning now bouncing around. Alright, down goes an Acolyte. We're looking at some more damage getting in as Lucal being forced to cancel his tech to tier 2 in order to train up more and more of these units. Meanwhile, the Graveyard holding steady at 69, finally going to get canceled. Farseer going to go ahead and, take a Scroll of Town Portal. He is completely blocked in, and now going to go ahead and Staff of Teleportation his way out. Healing Salve, Staff of Teleportation, working out well there. That was quite a bit of a close call as he was down into, I believe, 80 hit points as the Farseer now looking to clear out creep camps back at home. Apprentice Wizard creep camp going to be an easy clear. Slippers of Agility, a little bit of additional armor as the Spirit Wolves going to finish off the remainder of that creep camp here. Meanwhile, a Grunt could have a very bad day just trying to keep track of this Death Knight. Meanwhile, the Death Knight having some powerful items already as the Grunt just trying to keep tabs on the Death Knight here, perhaps trying to disrupt. We see a little bit of essence of or getting that blight down here, perhaps for some Ziggurats, as we now are looking at a Crystal Ball. One of the biggest changes, I believe the Crystal Ball is a charge item in the upcoming patch and lower in the drop table. All right, Grunt looking around here, trying to get in a little bit of damage. Death Knight still has some mana, can get off some Death Coils if needed, if he needs to try and save any of these units, or perhaps try and finish off this Grunt. Grunt is going to get taken down. There goes one Grunt. A Ghoul could be next as Infi does spot a low hit point Ghoul, but I believe the Death Knight is going to, perhaps allow enough protection. No, Farseer uses the mana, the Chain Lightning, and finishes off that low hit point Ghoul. All right. We can see the Shadow Hunter as that secondary hero. Normally, it's a Tauren Chieftain, so Shadow Hunter as a second hero here with Hex. Interesting support as we're going into a dual bestiary as well and getting that all-important Raider Ensnare. Farseer still trying to, well, outrun his opponent and still perhaps put in a little bit of problems here as the Farseer now quickly slips on back through that 5-unit surround, 7-unit surround, not perfectly positioned, allowing the Farseer to escape again. As the Death Knight getting closer and closer to level 4, we're looking at the Shadow Hunter doing some creeping away as now we see a Staff of Teleportation inbound back for that Farseer. Farseer looking to clear out this Force Troll High Priest creep camp. Shadow Hunter was using a Hex as well as a couple, as a Force Troll Berserker hiding all the way in the very far back here. Very difficult to take down since a very minimal surface area. Can't really quite get around him. I don't think that Grunt will be able to get, well, axes on target, so to speak, as a Tome of Intelligence also being left behind there, also difficult to spot unless you move the camera around as well. Death Knight going to get to level 4 off of this creep camp here. Meanwhile, we still do not see the Lich out in play or even trained, as we saw that cancellation of that upgrade to tier 2 because of all that harassment. That's opening things up for the Farseer and the Shadow Hunter to get in a little bit more creeping here. Perhaps going to go after this Kobold Geomancer creep camp. There goes an Ensnare, making sure that the Kobold Taskmaster doesn't get all of those strong bashes in. Tome of Intelligence needs to get picked up here. We're not quite sure. There it goes. Gets up to level 2. Hasn't picked up the Tome of Intelligence yet. There's a healing wave bouncing around as a Kobold Geomancer will get finished off. Perhaps going to hire a Goblin Shredder? No? No higher Goblin Shredder. Farseer at level 3. Death Knight coming around the corner of the other side. May try and get a Death Coil to steal the kill. That Kobold Taskmaster, however, well, still finished off by the Orc as the Shadow Hunter does get a Hex off in time on that Death Knight. Goblin Sapper trying to run its way in, perhaps trying to find, there's a quick cancellation, and well, the Orc Burrow was not destroyed, but still big damage done. All right, Death Knight trying to, well, protect against all of these units here. A Gargoyle also positioned here to make sure that Wind Riders are not able to easily do hit and run on these Acolytes here. Now, Infi's strategy of harassment not going to work out well. Undead needs to find a way to set up an expo as this Great Hall is nearly done. Remember, the Great Hall did suffer quite a bit of damage due to that Goblin Sapper, so you don't just look at the hit point bar to see how far it is completed. Coming back through, all right, are we going to get some more repairs on that Great Hall? No, we are not. Farseer, Shadow Hunter, level 3, level 2. As the Renegade Wizard about to get taken down as well. So what are these players' real strategies and real intentions here? So far, it feels like well, Lucifer is just trying to make sure that this game doesn't get away from him, and he's trying to get into that late game. This Halls of the Dead or the main building having to be canceled on that upgrade in order to keep Acolytes around has severely, well, stunted Lucifer's overall attempt to get this game into tier 3. He will finally get there. We're going to get a Lich with that Orb of Corruption soon, and that Lich does also have some great items. Meanwhile, off to the north, Infi, an interesting choice, going for a Farseer and a Shadow Hunter over that Tauren Chieftain. The Shadow Hunter is better at, well, keeping high damage units alive, such as the Blade Master, as well. That's just what the Shadow Hunter's kit has: Hex to remove priority targets and Healing Wave to keep the units along in the fight. I don't really see how that's going to translate into a lot of damage for the Orc army right now, as there's nothing that really is screaming out how how the fights are going to work out here. However, the Lich does need to get to level 3 for level 2 Frost Nova in order to handle these Wind Riders if more and more Wind Riders take to the skies. Another Acolyte quickly taken down here. There are still some creep camps available around the map, and we can see that there are some Gargoyles out as well. We are only at Stronghold. We are not at Fortress. We do not have in those Envenom Spears, so the Gargoyles will have a difficult time with those Bat Riders, but in terms of trade, if those Bat Riders are gone, the Gargoyles should be able to eat up those Wind Riders very easily. 60 supply compared to 45. Infi has the larger army. We see a quick Hex go down onto the Lich as we see level 4 now on that Farseer. Healing Wave still bouncing around. Scroll of Speed being used to try and get those hit and run tactics in, but the Frost Nova, applied onto those units there as we see the Goblin Alchemist as the third and final hero with Acid Bomb. All right, so Acid Bomb has that damage over time, but perhaps more importantly, that negative armor. If that negative armor debuff. If the Lich also picks up an Orb of Corruption as well, we could see -7 armor units out on the battlefield, and that just means auto attacks just are dealing so much more. Gargoyles should be able to shred those air units if they have Acid Bomb and also have the Orb of Corruption applied onto them. Lucifer losing an Obsidian statue in transit right there, and perhaps going to try and go after another Obsidian statue as well. There's a Healing Wave bouncing around. Acid Bomb could be going down. No Orb of Corruption. Alchemist picks up gets the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability transferred over as we see, Lucifer losing that Forest Troll Berserker. Both sides still fighting their way through. Alchemist now has the Anka Reincarnation. He will be back around again as the Wind Riders are trying to poke their way back again and again. Meanwhile, Kotobeast is out on the battlefield trying to chomp down as we're seeing another Obsidian statue taken down. All right, this long, drawn-out fight as the Alchemist is unable to stick around. So much energy focused down here, and in the end, Lucifer forced to try and retreat back. All right, that Scroll of Town Portal looked weird. It looked like it didn't light up properly. I don't believe the Bat Riders give an experience to enemy on the suicide. On the sacrifice. Wind Riders coming over to poke at the Haunted Gold Mine. Infi's economic advantage seems to be enough to tip that last fight in his favor, and it may just be enough momentum for him to continue carrying on. Level 4 on the Farseer, level 3, nearly level 4 on the Shadow Hunter. Working out well. We don't see any Crypt Fiends coming in from Lucifer, which is a bit of a surprise considering how powerful Web is at bringing down those high priority targets and bringing them a little bit closer. We are looking at a Spirit Tower here and the Rubian Tower trying to hold the defense, but the army size is just too big of a difference. Death Knight, what is that? Oh, a rogue wizard actually getting eaten by the Kotobeast. Could that be? I think that's a creep. Yeah, I think that's just a creep. Gonna give some experience and some gold when the time comes as the Death Knight now looks to fall back here. So many air units, and I think this is gonna be the end. Death Knight, Lich, and Obsidian statue. No, Farseer ends up getting bursted down quickly by the Death Coil Frost Nova. Now we are looking at the Chemical Raging Goblin Alchemist. He's gonna get burst down as well. Death Knight unable to Death Coil him for the heal as both sides are fighting their way through. All right, Obsidian statue unable to do enough as the Haunted Gold Mine is now completed, and we could be looking at at least a full saturation to try and even up the game economically. Farseer may just get resurrected back at the tavern, and Infi now needs to know and remember, don't make those silly mistakes, as the Farseer also had a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. Clarity Potion being used, Healing Salve already on it, and now bringing in a Potion of Mana to the fight as well. All right, in comes all of the armies. Wind Riders ready to do a little bit of poking. You can see Lucifer is just trying to get this Spirit Tower or get enough defense here to try and hold off these attacks. And pretty much Lucifer is up against the ropes. If he tried to attack Infi's Expo at this point, he knows that he's going to be in an unfavorable spot. He's not going to be able to trade efficiently or effectively, and things would just get further and further behind. All right, Gargoyle quickly getting taken out there. Wind Rider's able to continue to poke. There's a healing wave bouncing around, and the Alchemist is back out here on the battlefield. There's an acid bomb onto all of those targets. Negative armor could be incredibly important, but one thing we noticed, no Orb of Corruption on the Death Knight. So the Death Knight has the ability to attack air. That's the reason for that, as we're looking at the Wind Riders slowly getting poked down again. All right, Alchemist trying to finish off some of those targets. There goes an Ensnare, followed by a Chain Lightning, and the Alchemist gets taken down once more. More Wind Riders are also falling as well. Is the Shadow Hunter going to be able to finish, or the Lich going to be able to finish it off? No, it isn't. Healing Wave keeping these Wind Riders alive. And that's what the Shadow Hunter was doing with Healing Wave, just constantly keeping these Wind Riders alive, hoping that their damage was enough. Ensnare going down onto an Acolyte here. Farseer still going to be just shy of level 5. Shadow Hunter also just shy of level 5 as well, as, the Shadow Hunter still needs a bit more mana. Nerubian Tower and Spirit Tower coming across here. Acolytes trying to repair. Is it going to be enough? As the Death Knight pushing their way on through, perhaps going to try and take down some of these Raiders. There goes a Frost Nova, no follow-up Death Coil. And the Raider down to 108 hit points, and it looks like he will be able to escape. Kodo, or a couple of ghouls getting cleaned up. Farseer now sitting at level 5. Level 3 Spirit Wolves could be out here on the battlefield as the Shadow Hunter gets to level 5 as well. Level 4 now reached by the Lich. Lich perhaps going to be able to get in some Dark Rituals and perhaps burst down more of these targets again and again. Remember, Wind Riders, their hit points stay static, so as the levels get higher and higher on the Death Knight and the Lich, the sudden instant death of Death Coil Frost Nova does, come on the table. All right. Don't know what the sidebar conversation is on my chat. I'm not going to even try and read it, as I don't think it's Warcraft 3 related. Lucifer doing a great job holding off his opponent, even though he has a larger army, the supply advantage. Meanwhile, we're going to be looking at the Shadow Wolves here trying to break their way in. We do see the Nerubian Towers here, as in comes the army now. All right. Destroyer nearly getting taken out there. May want a Death Coil to start. Ensnare could be ready. Meanwhile, the Shadow Wolves are for some reason not engaging against these Acolytes just quite yet. Raiders trying to pull themselves back over. No way to easily spot those Shadow Wolves when they're not attacking. All right, Crypt getting pressured down. One Spirit Tower, one Nerubian Tower. Finally engaging on those targets. Destroyers are coming back across. Gargoyle getting focused down quickly. Acid Bomb onto the Wind Riders. Wind Riders able to retreat back away. There goes the downed one, though, as the Death Knight is still fighting their way through. Down goes the Obsidian Statue. There goes another Wind Rider again. 66 supply compared to 34. Gargoyles not making their way around here, as more Obsidian Statues are joining in on the battle. Are we going to see some more Devour Magic trying to take down these units here? Death Knight down to 500 hit points. No Devour Magic from the Destroyer to try and break free. Instead, going after the Shadow Hunter. Shadow Hunter able to escape away at 138 as the Death Knight falls, as he was hexed, unable to launch a Death Coil. All right, Shadow Hunter comes back in, ready for more action, as Lucifer loses the Lich. He's pretty much lost all hope and leaves the game. Infi outlasting his opponent, and pretty much had a hard time going for the kill. He had what was a 20 to 30 supply lead throughout much of that final battle, but you saw how effective Lucifer was with those heroes in the end, being able to use Acid Bomb, Death Coil, and Frost Nova efficiently to try and whittle down those Wind Riders. A couple of early hexes in that initial fight prevented that initial Frost Nova Death Coil blasting, and because of that, Infi had enough damage with those initial Wind Riders to take that advantage and finally close out the game. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below. the units, largest army 78 to 54, doesn't really show how much of a fighting chance Lucifer had in many of those situations. Goblin Alchemist not being able to be healed by a Death Coil, perhaps one of the big factors, as that Alchemist, fell a handful of times.